Hi, welcome to Barvotti's 33rd live screening of Tools for Creatives. I am Phoebe Bradbury, and today I will be demonstrating some of the tools that I use every day in my art studio. I wouldn't want to be without them, and I find new uses for them all the time. There will be promotional offers during the program, and the promo codes will be active during the demonstration and for about half an hour after. The current time is 12 noon Central, January the 7th, 2022. Right now, the promotions are only available from Amazon in the United States. Hi, and here we are, and I would like to start off with showing you some of the work that we've done during the show. And I would also like to welcome YouTube, Twitch, where else are we? Facebook, to our live programming. Starting this week, we have decided to program on several different places. So this first painting or quick study is done on with acrylic paints with these kinds of tools. These are not clean. They're what I used a few in the last show. But with these kind of tools, and it's on butcher paper, which makes them very easy for demonstrations. So one side is slick, and the other side is just a paper side. So these first few are just quick demos that we did during the class, and something like this one here took about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. Okay, this is another one, and was only these tools used in different ways. And this one is one of my favorite ones because it was a very early one, and I thought, oh, wow. And okay, so I've demonstrated many times during monoprints when we're making them, and I'm not a monoprint expert, but this is the first one that I thought actually turned out quite well. So I thought I'd show it to you. It's just on a regular, it's printed off a Yupo paper, but this is just on regular paper. And I've got it sitting on the black just so it'll show off a bit. So when you're starting this, you will find that it's pretty quick to when you reach the point where you're finding that you're making things really quite nice, like this on a very cheap paper, and you can't market the paper. And it probably won't even last very long in the studio sitting around. But you may decide, and that's what I did, I decided to use an archival paper for some of my work. And this is a piece of Yupo paper. Yupo paper is a plastic paper, and it really does well with these tools because it's very slick paper, very much like the waxy side of the butcher paper. And I just want to show you this. Okay, this should be it should be in focus there, and then I'm going to bring it up to the camera. Oops. I'm pushing the thing, and I should be pushing my screen to carry the focus up. So still learning the tools. Okay, so I'm bringing it right up so that you can see how on the Yupo paper there is really high resolution between the the paint and the background and the different levels of paint. So there's a lot of detail, and it's a lot of fun to do. And this little postcard, you can use it as a postcard. Postcard size took probably less than, I would be surprised if it took a full minute to do, because I work very fast. But you will find that it's very easy to work quite fast with these, and it's a lot of fun to learn how to do it. So that's the postcard. And if you are sending it in the mail, you should probably put a little finish on it. You may not have to. I've had them laying around in drawers and stuff for years, and it doesn't come off. But you don't. A sharp object scraped across the surface would cause it to move. But anyway, that's that one. Oops. Oh, I'm getting better at putting pages between. So this is a full-size piece of Yupo, and we just played with it in the class. And it's probably about the fourth or fifth version that I thought might be finished. But this is another example of how you can have, well, expressive marks, and also how very good the resolution is when you go in. And this one probably took a little longer, but that's only because we kind of started from scratch several times. So the final drawing or painting on here probably took about 2 minutes, if that. Okay, oh, here's a little one. This is the first one I did with the postcard size. Another example of high resolution on the Yupo paper. And you don't have to use Yupo paper. I'm experimenting and showing in here where if you use a glossy finish on a paper, you can get pretty much the same results as you can with Yupo. So it's a big one. Goes right out to the edge. And is this the one we did? This is the one we did at the beginning with the music behind it. And we will show that. I think that's the one we're going to show at the end again, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. So, and we're going to show a little video with how this particular one was made. Now, the reason I'm showing these kinds of things, because the reason I'm telling you is that I have a specific area in which I work. I'm an abstract painter, and that's where I like to use them. But there are many, many ways you can use these tools, and in many different art forms. But here's a video of making this particular painting. Okay, we're back to look at the tools. And these are the 5 that we have in inventory right now. We've just heard that a lot of our other inventory has arrived, so we will be talking about other things in the coming days. On the Amazon live show, we are only permitted to film things that are in inventory right now. But to get us started here, this is the 3-inch mottler. I need a piece of paper here to put behind it because I want to show you some of the things that I like about it. So very, very sharp blade. And it's a silicone blade of medium firm is what it's called. And I can show you here. It's quite firm. And I use it for all different kinds of things. This is a wide amount of silicone, and it's very good quality. Stainless steel ferrule, a compressed a synthetic handle, and what I like about the handle is that it's not wood. I have had ones with wooden in that were wooden. I don't have one right now. But what happens with wood is, because I'm using acrylic paints, they're always sitting in, or not sitting in water, but I'm using water all the time. And over years, wood will expand and shrink when they're wet or dry, and the paint comes off, and the wood can crack. So these are perfect. Some of these I've had for 5 or 6 years, and they're just the same as they were when I first got them. Here's one that's a little older here. See, it's a little dirtier. Okay. What's the other thing about them? Oh, the other thing I really like about them is this hole at the end. It means that I can hang them above the workspace and keep them off my working area, which is really important. And sometimes it's important to, to leave paint on them, and I don't really want to lay it down anywhere. So if I've got a place to hang it, it's perfect. So that's the 3.5 inch. Now these are all of the same quality. It doesn't matter if they're the smallest or the biggest. If you look at the largest one and the amount of silicone in there and compare it to the 1 inch, you'll see that they're identical. Identical width, identical strength, identical length. So there's no skimping on the smaller tools. And that's our mottlers there. So the ones that we have and the ones that I use all the time are the 3 inch, 2.5 inch. These two are really good for large size paintings, for putting on gesso, for large surfaces. And I will be showing you too that they can, although they're large, they can make many expressive marks on smaller paintings as well. This is the 2 inch. Exactly the same quality, and the 1.5 inch. We started off with just the 1 inch, the 2 inch, and the 3 inch, but there's been a demand for the other ones. And so what do I do now? Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at watch. Oh, okay. The next thing we're going to do is watch Sandy Welsh demonstrate painting with these mottlers. She's an Instagram artist and a very good artist. And first of all, she uses this 1 inch to fill in part of the background of an ocean piece that she's working on. And then she demonstrates using this really big one to make scratches back into her paint. So here's Sandy Welsh.
I'm going to go back to my little rubber spatula here. She had that big ball of dark. And then we'll go over it again with a lighter blue, but this will be underneath. So are we getting to look like this ocean? See? This is really cool. Where do you get them? Oh, I ordered them from Amazon. They look like, where's my big one? I think they're called shapers. I got two of them. I got the bigger one. They're not expensive either. I got this one. I think if you just put in paint shapers, this will come up. They're nice, and you can use the tips if you want to sort of scratch out. Yeah, they had a couple different sizes, but I like them. It's the first time I've started using them.
Okay. Okay. This is a painting I did in art school, and so that makes it about 12 years old, maybe 15 years old. And the reason I'm showing it is because it shows many of the techniques we're going to go through today. So first of all, there's a lot of scraping down at the bottom in the red area. I don't know exactly where I'm pointing at this point. And then there's the yellow scrape throughs at the top. I'm looking at this monitor and it's not happening. And finally, the other thing that's on it, which is quite visible, is that there are loads of green drips making a huge, almost fluorescent surface on the painting that drip upwards and downwards. We're not going to be doing the fluorescent drips, but we will be doing the things that you can do with something like this, with the things you can do with these mottlers that we're going to show today. So that's where we are right now. Is that where I go? That's a little loud. Okay, that's okay. You can put it a little bit more maybe. So I'm trying to get a little bit of music behind it because it's a little more fun to do it with music. So these are the mottlers, and we're just gonna play with them. This is the part I like best. Because I love playing with them. And we're just going to demonstrate some of the ways to use them. So there's some Quinacridone Red, a transparent professional paint, and what other color? Oh, I think I'll just start with the red. And I'm going to start with the 3-inch mottler. And I'll just do a dry scrape through. No, not a scrape through, just pull it through with the paint on. And I can see that the waxy color of the waxy surface of, of the butcher paper is making little bubbles, but that's okay. See, this is that shows you how you can lay paint on. Of course, if you were laying it on something like linen, it wouldn't be bubbling like that. And the other thing that you can see here is the mass tone of the paint, which is the paint as it comes right out of the tube, and the colors of the paint when you stretch it thin. So that's a scrape through. I probably shouldn't use the red first because I think it has more water in it. And you should know that I dilute my paints with medium and water so that they flow and spread quite nicely, and they're all professional grade paint. So This is just something where you might start making expressive marks. So, as you can see, there's lots of things you can do with even this great big wide blade mottler. And we call them mottlers because the type of handle is like the mottler you might use in an art studio, the sort of brush that does a lot of the odd jobs that you don't actually do your painting with. Though it depends on the artist you are. I paint with everything. Doesn't matter if it's a mottler or what. I often like to cover large areas. So here we've got this, and what I'm going to demonstrate right now is what do you do if you want to clean an area off. So normally what I do, well, ever since I discovered it, I do it all the time, is I have a little container of clean, damp cloths, and I've just thrown them through the wash. I use them and reuse them all the time. And rather than use a pail of water or anything, I just wipe them off like this. So just a quick wipe. And the mottler's ready to go again with no marks on it. And if you wanted to use a different color, there would be no contamination from one color to another. And what I want to show you right now is one of the things. Like, imagine this is your palette or a board or a painting that you put on and you didn't like and it was still quite wet. Well, you can pretty much remove all the surface paint if you get it soon enough. So just by overlapping, and there's no lines left or anything, and a quick wipe with the rag cloth, it's still clean. So I'm going to put that down. I'm going to get a different color. Try some Airline Yellow. And this is also a professional grade paint, and that only means that if you read the information about the paint where you bought it, you will get information about what chemicals are made in it and how it. You actually find out how it behaves by using it, but you can, once you know what kind of color, what color it is, you can predict how it's going to act with different colors of paint. That's the main reason for using artist grade paints. So I'm just playing here with some marks, little square marks, and I'm noticing that this does not show up that well on the screen. So I'm going to try and make it a little darker by I could turn it into orange by mixing in that bit of red, but I'll add a bit more red on. This time I'm going to add a naphtha crimson, which is a slightly different red. Ooh, look at that. I get excited about the things that stick to the bottom of the paper as we get going. So I could say just ignore me, but you should probably notice that I'm really having quite a good time here. Okay. This is a little bit more paint on there. Still, I hope, in the center of the screen, something I'm learning, and it's orange now. So that naphtha crimson is a slightly bit oranger than the Quinacridone Red, but the real orange is coming from the Airline Yellow that we added earlier. Okay, so once again, you can see that I can, first of all, what I'll do is I'll pull the paint away. And just with the paint that I have on my brush, on my mottler, I can just show you the spreading paint. So it's great for spreading paint. You get better and better at, controlling the amount that you're spreading. And then, of course, you've got your 2.5 inch drag through. and the colors are now darker enough, probably showing a lot better than that pale red and yellow, so that you can actually see patterns on the board. So once again, expressive marks, and we're starting to have some stuff showing up underneath from what we've done before, which I like to demonstrate, but which is hard to demonstrate when you're demoing. You can find it when you're working, because you have the opportunity then to slow down, but when you're demonstrating, you pretty much have to, 5 minutes for this part and 10 minutes for that part. Okay, so that's the 2.5 inch, and I'm going to wipe that clean. So at this point, I'll probably start with a new cloth, and I will use exactly the same modelers for when I do the demonstration with the UPO paper just after this, where we do a finished or semi-finished piece. Okay, so oops, I've got two 1-inch ones. How did I do that? No big deal. And they actually all work very similarly. It's just kind of fun to demonstrate with each size. So this is the 2-inch, and once again, 2-inch scrape through. How about a really skinny scrape through? Can a 2-inch do that? Look at these. And the beauty of them is that depending on how you hold your brush, no two are alike. Or if you're very careful and hold it very carefully, you can get them to look very, very similar. So, and the marks stay. They don't float. It depends on how thick your paint is, but I work to get my paint at. I don't work. It's not work. I just make sure my paint is at the consistency that I want it to be, that it'll do these things. So then I can go through and make other types of marks. And some of the marks are left underneath, and some of the marks are exposed from if you pull the painting away. So you can have a lot of fun just doing this kind of stuff. Phoebe's idea of fun. Okay. So if we add blue to orange, we should probably get an ugly brown. Let's see what that has. Let's see. Okay, let's do this. Let's just work along one edge here. So this is the 1.5 inch. And most people, when they start using this, they start with the small ones because they don't really have an idea, you know, what they might want to do with them. And I've always used squeegees, but I've never had ones that work quite as well as these ones, and I would love to get some even a bit larger. So that's spreading with the 1.5. Spreads. You get experience with holding it, so that you can push through different amounts. As you can see there, I didn't push through it very hard, but I got some beautiful blue markings in the background there. Ooh, I don't think I've ever done one like this before. I usually go the other way. So this stuff coming through, because we only just added the blue is sticking to different parts of the paper. And this is really just a matter of experimenting and playing And if you don't experiment and play, you don't find out these things. So that's one of my philosophies of painting. A lot of it is just playing around until you say, oh, I like that. I think I'll make a bigger painting out of that. What does it mean to me? So I'm going to try and do a weave through it. Okay, so we're going to use the 1 inch. I'm going to wash this, wipe this off with this one. Okay. And usually I weave left to right, and now I'm going to weave up and down. So this is going to be very hard for me. I'm kidding, but okay, so we're going to go over, under. No, that's over. This one's under. And this is over. And that one's under. What a risky thing to do. So that was over, so this one has to be under, over, under. This is going to be over, under, under. So I don't have a lot of paint on my brush, so that's part of the reason why we're getting this sort of funny thing. And, I'm not sure if that looks like a weaving or not. I think it does. Okay. Where's the one I did yesterday? I'll find the one I did yesterday. Nope. Here's one. This sort of looks like what I was trying to get at. So we did on wax paper. And as you can see, it very definitely looks like weaving. This one, I think because of the things in the background, that it doesn't look like weaving because it's competing with the surface. But let's just not worry about that. It's hardly worth worrying about. Let's just, if I scrape through this now, what do you think is going to happen? And what I think is going to happen is any of these areas where I have big gobs of green paint, or whatever that color is, they're going to just sweep right off. So that's one trick to getting down to the surface again, if you want to, is just to go like, oops, didn't quite work, did it? Going to do this one more time. And then we'll do a Yupo paper. Okay, so let's. When in doubt, go back to where you were before. Okay, we'll just try that because it's going to take very little time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Over, under. Over, under, over, under, over, under. So we're getting the weave pattern here, but it's still competing. It's interesting because I'm still learning, and I've been doing this sort of stuff for years. And I think one of the things I'm interested in here is that stuff that's coming in through the background, which is blowing my mind. Okay, here we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, for those of you who are interested, and me, I want to zoom in and have a look at how close now it is in focus. So you can see the amount of detail and the scraping and even the background scraping. Unfortunately, I can't move either the camera or the paper. They're sort of locked in place here. So if I'd done paper on a piece of paper instead of locked into my table, I would have been able to move it around. But you can see that it's very, the resolution is very high even on this butcher paper. So that is the basic demo of my modelers. And one thing I should talk about is because not all artists use acrylics. These are perfect for working with water and acrylics. And they can also be used with cold wax and oils. But the one thing you must remember is do not leave them soaking in what do you call them? Solvents, because they will soften. And I had one person who was using cold wax, and they wrote to me and said, "Oh, it all went ripply when I left it." Well, she didn't say she left it in the solvent. She said when I did the cold wax, and I thought, well, I don't even know what cold wax is, so I looked it up, and then they said there was solvent, so I thought, okay. So I took one of these, I think it was about this size, and I let it sit in a solvent for about 3 hours. And sure enough, the edge did ripple and get very fine looking, and I thought, oh, that's not good. And then I did research online, and sure enough, silicons do dissolve slowly, or depending on how firm they are, slowly in solvents. But I put it back in the water, and it became indistinguishable from the rest that I had. Pardon me? I know, I'm looking at it right, zoomed right in, yeah, see? Yeah, I'm zooming right in. It's in focus. Okay, so the end actually returned to a very sharp surface, and but I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would say if you're using solvents, rinse as often as you can. Well, rinse after every use in the solvent in fresh water, and there should be no problem with the with oils or cold waxes as long as you do that. Out. I'm looking at where it is. It's got nothing to do with the eye. Okay. Now Preben is going to show a video. Am I supposed to be on that or no? Where these are, where people use them in their practices, and then Julie Pritchard is going to come on for probably about a minute, and she's going to tell you about her.
All of these products are paid for by me. I am not receiving any paid sponsorship for any of these mentions. Next up, from Barvotti.com are these rubber scraping brushes. I really like these to add texture and to smooth paint on my surface. They come in a variety of sizes. These two are my most favorite tools right now.
Okay, here we are back again. And I apologize if my camera was a little bit too close in the last shot. This is a picture. It's an image of a painting I saw online. I think it was in a Camtasia library or something like that. And I thought, oh, I bet we could do that. And so I started out basically making things that would make parallel lines. I don't know if I can show that. It's a little parallel line maker. Okay, to make these kinds of lines. Now these are quite wide. So I experimented a bit and I made one this wide. Actually, the first one I made, this is the one I made the first time. So this looks quite a bit different than that one. And but I was very pleased with it. This is a gold paint, and it's on a black background, and it doesn't have to be Yupo in this case. It is Yupo, but it doesn't have to be. It just have to be a black surface. And so this one, I know that I had two. Yeah, I had these two. I had this one that I'd made somewhat perfect, and the other one which just the first one I'd ever made. So I thought, well, these are so wide, I have to hold them together. So that's what I did, is I held them together. So this was the little one and this was the big one, and I held them through there and pulled them through the paint. Well, I mean, you're very jittery when you do that, so you got all these jiggly parts, and this part's so nice and smooth. I thought, well, I probably have to make a better parallel line tool. So I did make this bigger one, but I had a slip up, as you can see, on one side. That wouldn't have mattered, but it wasn't really quite wide enough. So I took one of my 3-inch modelers and I made this one. Oops. The background. So you can see that one, and you can see that there's all of the edges are all still there to pull through to give the background, the black part, and that the holes are where the gold flows through. So you can see that there's quite a difference between like these two and this one. So you can see the difference, and you think, well, you will get probably a better one, maybe a more even one. So that's my first one with the 2 modelers, and I'll show you my second one. What did I do with my second one? I think I have 2 or 3 second ones, but here's the second one, and it turned out really well. So once again, here I can actually put, let's see if we can put this over here. And we'll bring it up. You can see the way it sits here, that's how it sat on there. That this is that big black line, and so on and so forth. And that's why we got all the lines close together, and we got much bigger areas for the gold. So that was really a lot of fun to do that. And this actually wasn't my second one. My second one had a few jerky parts in it. So this is basically my third one, and I'm pretty pleased with that. I don't have to do that again to prove that I can do it. And sometimes when I see something, I just want to be able to see, can I do it? What do I have to do it? So today we're going to do another one. I also did one on a board. This is a board with just canvas board with black paint. So these can be, you don't need Yupo paper. You can have any type of slick back surface, a black surface in this case. And I also did one with, oh, there's my not so pretty one. I'm just going to show you my second one, and the reason I wasn't so happy for it. So this one was the first one that I got the right I got the right stuff going across, but I was very anxious, and so I got sharp corners here and sharp corners there. And so I have probably even still a few more steps to go, but this was second and this was third, much smoother than this one. Okay, so that's the process that I'm working on here. And then I found that I could add, to the gold, I added transparent, I think in this case it's a Quinacridone Red, so it's a slightly orange. And so once again, here I'm getting pretty good at the smooth swirls, but the color is really pretty. And the other thing that's interesting about some of these is that you don't have to use that much of the gold paint as long as you're using transparent colors. You can use mediums, and a medium is just something that it dries absolutely clear. And the reason it has to dry clear with these things is the gold paint is not actually a paint. It's an emulsion of little golden flecks within a clear medium. So you can tint the medium, which is basically what I did here, but you can also spread those gold flecks out. This is a little bit more shiny, and I think probably less dissolved. So I thought today, just for the heck of it, we would, and of course when I'm doing something like this, just to show you another part of the process, this is when I'm checking it out. Does it work? Is it going to work? What kind of thing can I put it on? So this is a piece of cardboard with plastic on it. And you can see where I'm starting to make those kinds of things. So sometimes when we are trying to do something that we've seen somebody else do, we just start out and can't figure out how they got there. But actually, if you examine it carefully and sort of test things and go after it, that's part of the process of I suppose, teaching yourself, because I was basically teaching myself how to do this. And I thought what we'd do today is look at some of the paint that I have left from that and apply it to this little piece of black. And I have two jars. This one is the red, and you'll notice that they're different colors. This is a pale pink, but when it dries, it'll be that iridescent orange color. And the reason is that the medium that we use is a milky color, and it dries clear, but it goes on like milk. And we also have some of the gold. And it also looks fairly dull compared to the final happy gold painting. So these I'm going to mix on this board, and we're just going to play with them, and I'm going to try not to overwork them, because this is sort of the situation where the worst thing you can do is overwork it. And I'm going to dampen the board with one of my clean damp cloths, so they won't just stick right through. And is this Yupo? Yeah, it is Yupo paper, but it's just got a very thin black coating on it. So where is my spoon? Oop, those are my good ones. Can't use those. And, oh, there's that one. I'm just going to use something to get these out with. So there's the gold. And because I don't really want to mix up, I'm going to clean this off. Oops. So that's too small. My tool won't go in there. I could use one of these other tinier tools. here. Got so many things going on. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this because I'm getting to the point where I find something like this. Well, it's pretty. It's also pretty boring after a while. So, and I also wanted to use up some of this paint, and I think it would be fun to play with these things. So let's just play a little bit, and it's not going to look the way it will tomorrow today. Ooh, look at that. Okay, there. I'm kind of interested in what happens if I go the other way. Maybe I'll go the other way with this one. What happens if I go like this? Ooh. Well, that was starting to look like a wave painting. Whoops. Okay, so let's not mix the brushes up. And because I have to think about this a little bit, it's not going to go as fast as some of the things that I normally do. So I think I should just go a little faster. Maybe use a different one. Oops. Gold on one side, pink on the other. Are we going to even have? Are they all going to mix together? Do I have enough on there? These are all the questions I ask myself when I'm doing this is, have I put enough paint on there? Can I put more pink on? What did I do with the pink? Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. And does everything have to be lines? Not really. You can make some very pretty things that have nothing to do with lines. And if you're going to use these line maker things, it's sometimes just easier to cover the whole thing with paint, so then you got something to draw through. And I'm not kidding when I say I am learning. At this point, I'm learning. I'm learning, and we're going to see what happens. Okay, let's take the biggie one and just go like, just nicely through it. A big worm. Maybe we want to go like that. And maybe we want to go like that. And what about? But I don't know where to go now. I kind of would like to have been under there, but I can't go there now. And one of the things I do like about when I do these big swirly things is I do like them to go right off and not sort of end at the edge of the painting. So this is not a happy place for me right here. And I don't really like the way that ended. So it looks like I've got one of those paintings again where it's a bunch of swirly stuff. So let's see if we can just start moving in. Oops. I think I just removed some of the base paint from the painting. I'm not going to worry about that. Oh, where's my smaller one? I'm looking for a small, intact one. Let's see what we can do here. So we'll go here. You can add different types of textures if you want to. So for some reason I don't like that line there, and that's when I know, when I start doing that sort of thing, that's when I know I've probably passed the stage of where I'm going to like it. Because I'm then making decisions based on logic rather than what does it feel like, which seems to be better. What does it look like? Oh, it's not too bad. Let's see. Can we put some stuff here? Where did this come from? Who made this? Okay, I think I like it. It's easier to tell if you pick it up and you look at it from above. Very strange. So this is not going to dry like this. It's going to dry much shinier, and the golds and the pinky golds are going to be much brighter. I'm going to just leave it and we'll look at it tomorrow. And where will I put this? Oh, right there. This is the one that we did yesterday. No gold or anything, but we will use it as an underpainting for something, because unlike a lot of the paintings that we do here, it didn't look any better today than it did when we finished it on Wednesday. So I think it's got a nice shiny surface. We can play with it some more. We can do other things with it. And we were not using Yupo paper, so we've got another surface to play with in the future. So just give me a sec here. I'm not going to clear up because we don't have time. I just want to continue also another a brief thing that we did yesterday. And then we're, my goodness, just about over. Okay. This one. Okay, I have to bring that painting back, and I have to, oh, there it is. Pardon me? Oh, Previn's going to do well, I'm setting this up, and we're only going to be a few more minutes. He is going to do watch a little video on how our products are used, and then he's going to do one on the video mediums. Do you think you can follow those one right after the other? And then I'll be ready to show this briefly. And it's about the poured paintings we were looking at yesterday, just a slight continuation. And then we'll be through. Okay, I just have to figure the right spot here, I think. So this painting here again, I'm right in front.
Yeah.
Okay. So yesterday we were working, I was dealing with a fairly large poured painting. This is not a poured painting. This is a print of the corner of a very small poured painting. But I just want to show you the detail in it. I think this is called larva or something like that, because these things look like big larvae, and they're pouring out here. And then there's this big long stream along there, and these marks. So the painting was poured, but the part that I did of it was I made this mark and these marks and some of these marks to help it develop the way I wanted it to develop. This is also a mark. So any long straight marks like that are usually ones that I've put in and then I've developed a little bit. But I'm going to now go over to the table and show you the painting. The actual painting, what is paste on it. So this is one of the few that I did not cover with, am I here now? I didn't cover with epoxy, but it could be covered with epoxy. And I think it's 12 inches by 12 inches. And I'm just showing you a small portion of it. It's actually this big, so it's huge. It's got a lot of information on it. But what that painting, what that print is made from is basically from here to, not sure if we have that. Oh yeah, oh yeah. See, that's that little gray spot there was part. Okay, I'm gonna make it larger so that you can see it. That's what it. Okay. So you can see how what I want to show is the resolution of these. And that's the thing that fascinates me about them. And there is, okay. I guess that's about as close as we can get to the resolution, the zoom. Okay, and when you see the big one, you can see how the resolution is. So that, I guess my point is that I'm playing with the idea of doing more poured paintings and doing this, but I've often thought that it's a shame because they can be very large and very cumbersome, but they're not as interesting as the ones that are small and extremely detailed. And you actually do get a much better quality poured painting and in more detail if you're using real artist colors. So I did start off like so many people were told online that you can just use any paint, and you can. But what makes the marks is the difference in viscosity of the different kinds of paints that you put together. So a white behaves differently than other colors and so on and so forth, and they immerse with each other differently. So this whole painting was probably just had a red, I believe a red, a white, and a yellow, and that was it. Oh yeah, there must have been a little bit of black to give the grays. And I'd love to do some poured paintings that actually go beyond just teaching you how to pour them, because I think that's stage one. Stage two is deciding what can you do with them to make them become something that is interesting, or that you have a hand in, or that you use your artistic skills to develop them. So that's just an example. I'm going to put this up in front of that again. I don't know where it goes. Oh, this is the whole thing. That's the piece of it. Okay. And this, okay, this part, oops, dust. This little part is this whole painting, just to show you that. So I'd love to hear from you, your ideas on poured paintings, or if you're interested, we could even put them on in a different venue. But, so I think, are we here? Time to say goodbye? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 noon Central Time. So we'll be here again on Monday, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thank you for coming to the show, and we really appreciate any of the comments and any of the emails that we get. And so I'm looking forward to see you on Monday, and have a great weekend.
I'm going to go back to my little rubber spatula here. She had that big ball of dark. And then we'll go over it again with a lighter blue, but this will be underneath. So are we getting to look like this ocean? See? This is really cool. Where do you get them? Oh, I ordered them from Amazon. They look like, where's my big one? I think they're called shapers. I got two of them. I got the bigger one. They're not expensive either. I got this one. I think if you just put in paint shapers, this will come up. They're not, and you can use the tips if you want to sort of scratch out. Yeah, they had a couple different sizes, but I like them. It's the first time I've started using them.
All of these products are paid for by me. I am not receiving any paid sponsorship for any of these mentions. Next up, from Barvotti.com are these rubber scraping brushes. I really like these to add texture and to smooth paint on my surface. They come in a variety of sizes. These two are my most favorite tools right now.